Al Ewing and Stefano Caselli enter the arena as Vulcan challenges Tarn to a battle to the death, but the Brotherhood race to find someone who can beat Vulcan and Brand at obtaining a seat on the Great Ring of Arakko. Al Ewing continues his amazing X-Men Red storyline with more fun battles to the death on Arakko and more of the political intrigue he's been building up and exploring around Brand, the Brotherhood, and the Council of Arakko. I'm really happy that Manifold isn't done with the book either, since quitting Sword in the first 2 issues, and Ewing uses him exactly how I thought he was going to, in that he's gone off to look for like-minded people to help deal with Brand, since he knows Brand's in bed with Orchis and doing some really shady shit. The Brotherhood also being rebooted as a team for good is such a great idea, and I like that they are the total antithesis of the X-Men Red team, since it's filled with all of Krakoans who have migrated to Arakko and embraced the culture and the people there, whereas the X-Men Red team are just made up of Krakoans who want to instill their will over the Arakkai, and to, unwilling to most on the team, ruin Krakoa and Arakko relations. It leads to a lot of fun intrigue and people plotting behind each other's backs, and it's all just really interesting stuff, and stuff I find really interesting, especially with the X-Men. Magneto also being forced back into his role as leader is interesting, since I figured Ewing wouldn't do that with the character, since I thought it might have been a bit too obvious, but I'm excited to see what he does with the character now that he's got some actual pull on Arakko, and maybe he'll try another chance at making the utopia he thought he was going to make on Krakoa. Stefano Caselli's artwork again breathes a lot of life into the story, which is just a lot of people standing around and talking, but this issue did come with some great action sequences in the arena, and brutal action at that, really selling the power of Tarn, Vulcan, and later on Magneto with just these heavy punches and scenes just showing the viciousness of some of these characters. X-Men Red issue 3 was a fantastic politically charged issue that took our multiple plotlines in some really awesome directions, as well as ending on a big moment for a classic character. I'm gonna give this issue a 10 out of 10. X-Men Red issue 3 finds Cable reborn at the hatchery, finding that his viral load is all back to normal and his stealth arm was installed upon instruction. Hope reminds him that the Five work to order, really hoping he doesn't come back for a while though. Thunderbird confronts Cable, wanting to talk with him outside. Hope doesn't want him causing too much trouble, but Cable assures him that he's fine and he's in the mood for some post-resurrection workouts. Cable tells Thunderbird that they should step outside, and John is more than happy to kill Cable away from his kid. Xavier knows Thunderbird always was troubled, and while he never spied on his thoughts, he was dead for quite some time and the world moved on without him, which makes Xavier worry for him. Outside, Cable activates his stealth arm, shielding them both from all surveillance, including telepathic, while also sending out a deep-faked stream of them arguing that was taken from their previous argument at the Red Lagoon. Thunderbird knows that he wasn't acting then and meant all he said to Cable at the time, since Cable and Emma Frost used his brother Jimmy and made him fight their personal battles, and there will be consequences, but they have bigger fish to fry at the moment, as Cable notices Manifold is there waiting for them, wanting to talk to them about Brand and what she is up to. Up on the keep, Storm wonders what Brand's game is at pitting Vulcan against Tarn. Brand plays coy, knowing this has nothing to do with her, as Storm knows that Vulcan will lose against Tarn. Brand knows that Storm won their fight, but Aurora says that Tarn was arrogant, and he thought he was stealing her power and it will give him room to gloat. But now he knows better and he will kill Vulcan with a single thought. Brand thinks that Storm is there because she is worried that Vulcan will win, but Storm asks what even is Brand's plan once she gets a person on the Great Ring. Brand says that Vulcan is one of their people since he's Krakoan royalty and was once Shi'ar royalty as well. Aurora knows that Shi'ar won't even recognize he existed, and Empress Xandra is now on the throne, but Brand thinks that once Vulcan kills the most hated mutant on Arakko, she imagines he will be royalty on Mars as well, since someone has to be. Brand gets Storm to leave, hoping that she will see her in the audience for the battle, as at the Autumn Palace, the Brotherhood discuss Tarn, with Fisher King knowing that the mutant takes no risks and has beaten every foe he has come into contact with after Storm faced him. Roberto thinks that Vulcan could win the battle, but Fisher King knows Tarn took the seat of loss to hurt them and signal their defeat, and anyone who kills him would be a hero, and it would have been Aurora if she did kill him. Storm thinks thinks that would have lessened her, and Tarn yielded in their fight, and he will again with the right pressure. The team think Magneto should challenge him, but he refuses, and while he has no moral quandary about removing Tarn from his position, he refuses to take his seat, since another Krakoan on the ring would push Arakko forward and would make their Brotherhood no different from what Brand wants her X-Men Red Team to be. Fisher King knows though that Magneto isn't on Krakoa, and he's built a home on Arakko using their ways, with a door that's always open. He says that Max has found a place in a broken land, and Magneto knows that means a lot to him, but he doesn't think his single voice gives him the right to act for the whole world. Storm, while sharing Magneto's reservations, knows Tarn is the reminder of Arakko's dark past, and is a thorn in the paw that needs to be removed, since it will make a difference when it is. Magneto thinks that Storm is beginning to remind him of Xavier, who also asked him to try and make a difference by building a nation, and then he saw his daughter build their version of heaven. He knows the hope and joy that was brought to him was great, but it also reminded him of his first daughter Anya, and who he couldn't see again since she wasn't a mutant, and he will never be able to see her smile or laugh again. He knows their heaven is actually his hell, and Aurora knows of the betrayals they have suffered, so he doesn't want any more councils or utopias. Roberto doesn't believe him, thinking that maybe Magneto does want to rest in peace, but he can do and what he wants to do are two different things. Magneto leaves, knowing Roberto doesn't know him at all. At the Circle Perilous, the battle is about to begin as Brand watches from the orbiting sword satellite. Tarn says he's going to melt Vulcan down and use him as a paint to immortalize him as art. Roberto joins Iska on the sidelines, knowing how she always wins at everything. Roberto seemingly flirts with her, and Iska warns him to be on his guard. Storm meets with Cora of the Burning Heart, asking if they still work for Brand. Cora says that her mutant weapon is to enhance other mutants' weapons, something that's not so useful on Arakko, making them miss feeling useful. Cora asks if Storm wants them for her faction, and Storm invites her to, wanting to speak with her another time about it, as she asks if Vulcan has a chance. Cora knows that she watches so she doesn't miss Tarn's death, and he is a weapon thief and a body shaper who doesn't waste his time, so Vulcan is a dead man. The challenge begins, and there is an explosion between Tarn and Vulcan, and Tarn soon finds that his genomic control is gone, demanding to know what Vulcan did. Vulcan reveals that he can siphon any energy, including eating mutants' powers, and while Tarn tried to steal his, he stole Tarn's back. Angered, Tarn knows that he'll give the mutant a lesson in gloating over a weaponless foe. Tarn attacks as Roberto wonders if Vulcan's tactics could work on Iska, but Iska knows that her weapon cannot be shut off as she can't lose. Roberto knows that he can't either, even when he does lose. Vulcan beats Tarn around the arena, wondering what he has that can match his own fire. Tarn uses his face tentacles to grab Vulcan's arm, allowing the Arakkai to punch him hard in the face. Tarn says that Vulcan was allowed to bring a non-mutant weapon into the arena, wondering why he didn't bring a knife. He wonders who taught Vulcan to fight, reminding himself that it was actually the bird people, the Shi'ar, who have hollow bones. Tarn breaks Vulcan's arm, knowing that Vulcan thinks that he can still be their king because he never died, but there is a first time for everything. Tarn beats Vulcan into a bloody puddle, proclaiming their challenger is dead, and he still keeps his seat. He wonders if anyone else will challenge him as Magneto arrives, saying that he will do it. As he descends, Magneto tells Tarn that he wanted to turn away and ignore the stain Tarn has left on the planet, but what he wants to do and what he must do are two separate things, so he wishes to challenge Tarn. Iska thinks it's bad timing since Tarn's powers are beginning to return and Magneto will be slaughtered. Roberto, however, agrees, betting Iska that Tarn wins. Iska flies into a rage, grabbing Roberto and intending on killing him where he stands. Storm comes to his aid, but Roberto knows that this is how he loses without losing. Iska knows that this is a challenge by insult, breaking Roberto's neck as Storm tells Iska that she has gone too far, but Iska demands that Storm fight her for it. Iska says that she has fought beside Tarn for thousands of years and knows him better than any of them, and it shouldn't be like this since she cannot lose. Tarn is asked if he accepts Magneto's challenge, and he does, and within an instant, Magneto slams his helmet down on Tarn's head. Magneto reminds Tarn that he was allowed a non-mutant weapon, and he knows that Tarn's control of DNA is psychokinetic, and his helmet blocks mental powers, and is also made of metal. Magneto says goodbye to Tarn as he accepts the blood is on his hands. Magneto crushes the helmet and kills Tarn instantly, taking his place in the seat of loss.